news.
Kim as well. Kim has now, she's not sat for the bar, but she has quote unquote graduated law school, even though she didn't go to law school. Has, it took 6 years, her working hour study equivalent, and they had a ceremony for her, I think in someone's backyard, and she gave a speech. She got a lot of heat for this just because of like, but you put in the time. I mean, you go to law school, it's 3 years. This took 6 years.
Well, and there is something called reading the law, which means
Yes.
if you hit certain markers and work for 6 years and hit all the markers, it is considered the equivalent of law school, but you don't have, like, the fancy degree on your wall, but you still gotta sit for the bar, and what, it took her 4 times to pass the baby bar? Do we think she's actually gonna take the bar? Because you have to be a lawyer, you have to pass the bar.
Well, I
Otherwise,
did
you're just
pass the
a
bar, and it ain't.
otherwise, you're just a law school graduate.
You're just a law school graduate. I was gonna say, like, I have the fancy degree on my wall, and that, and like $2 will get me a cup of coffee on the street of New York.
But
So
you took the bar, which I didn't know, and passed the bar.
I did, but I sat there every day in a library for the entire summer. I mean, when you take the bar, it's like the whole law school. It ends on a Thursday or whatever. The whole law school then on Friday is in the bar review course the next. There's no week off. It's like literally law school ends on a Tuesday. You're in the bar review on a Wednesday, and you then have the most miserable life that entire summer. Not fun.
No, and the bar's no joke, obviously. It's like being a doctor. I mean, it's a whole process.
It's not. So I understand how I passed because I had no life and I was miserable. I don't know how Kim Kardashian is when is this? I mean, you can't, like, it's only given twice a year unless it's changed. It was February and July. So like, when are you going to study for this? You're a little busier than David Yontef was sitting in a library. I mean, I had no life. So how is this going to happen? I
But,
don't see it.
I mean, but they're gonna say that she's now a lawyer. They're gonna thread the needle on this one. But good for her for putting in the hours. That is not easy, especially because she's in the new Ryan Murphy All's Fair, and she has now officially become part of sort of that Ryan Murphy troupe of actors that he continuously calls on.
This is the second time, and she has like a starring role now. This trailer to me is just like, I haven't been this excited about something in a long time. It's her, Glenn Close, Sarah Paulson, Niecy Nash, and I think somebody else, Naomi Watts, I think, and they play female lawyers, I think divorce lawyers, just that like go after the men and get it all. There's a scene with Kim driving a Bentley, and Elizabeth Berkley comes in and she's like starts crying. She's a client. She's like, I'm so sorry. And one of them says, we don't work with sorry people. We only work with winners or something. So it's just, see, you can picture this.
Oh,
Mind you, they have gone like I mean, granted, what are they going to say? But they've asked like Glenn Close and Niecy Nash, like, what was it like working with Kim? And they say she gets, it's the same thing you always hear about the Kardashians. She gets there early. She knows every single line. She's extremely professional. She's studying her lines in between takes. She doesn't mess up. I mean, who can say that?
well,
That's
I'm
pretty
sure they're thrilled that their interviews are now about her.
right. I'm sure Glenn Close appreciates that.
Yeah, it's like it's to be asked once is great. To be asked every interview gets a little exhausting, I'm
Yes.
sure. But you know what? You got to say about Kim, when she takes something on, she takes it on.
Yeah. And I mean, you are a great business person, Skims and all, but I mean, I can't act. Like, you know what I mean? Maybe I'd be better than I think, but probably not. Like, that's just because you have all these other skills doesn't mean you'd be a good actress. I mean, Madonna tried to act for many years and she's
Yes, she
great at
did.
what right? So, I mean, there you go.
She was great in Desperately Seeking Susan, and I thought she did a good job in Evita. But I
I
wouldn't
would,
think of her as, ooh, gee, Madonna would have been great in that role.
I agree. She was great in Evita and she was great in Desperately Seeking Susan. Then we have lots of other options, Shanghai
Yes.
Surprise and
Oh,
Who's That Girl?
that was a little hard to watch. Um, but good for Kim. I'm gonna say good for Kim, and here's my question, and you might have an answer because I can't figure it out. Every single one of them is, I'm gonna say, public facing, except for Kendall. Do you think it's because Kendall went off and did the modeling thing before a lot of other things happened? Or do you think she just how does she not why does she get the buy from Kris? Yeah, like, in a weird way? Like, she doesn't have her own line, she doesn't she tried to have the one line with Kylie, she doesn't have a makeup brand, she doesn't what I mean? She really is an very private, completely different business, different person.
Yeah, except who has the tequila, the 808? Is that
Oh,
Kylie?
yeah, she
Is
has
that
the
Kendall?
that's Kendall, but
So there you,
compared to what
that's
all
that.
the rest of them have?
Well, she has done interviews before where she has said, you know, this was just thrust on me. Like I was this young and she's like, I don't enjoy it. I don't want to be famous. Now, granted, that's really easy to say. Like, you want to see what the other life's like, Kendall? Do you really want that? I'm not so sure. But
Yeah, most runway models do not have the best, most opulent lives.
right. Right. It's a hard life being a model. You go from like gig to gig, unless you're like a supermodel, and even then. So, yeah, I mean, she has said, I don't enjoy being famous. This just, I mean, I was born into this reality TV thing, and, I'm shy. I have social anxiety. So maybe that's why.
It's interesting. It's interesting where you watch Kris being a businesswoman and running a major company versus the mom side, which you're seeing with Kylie and Timothée and with Kendall. I think that's we haven't even really you never think of Kris that way.
You don't. Well, this is why when there's interviews and they're all asked, I mean, they all say, like, Chloe always says it. She's like, it's very clear. Kim and Kylie are my mother's favorites, period. She's like, it's that simple. I mean, she's like, that will never change. It just depends on what day of the week it is. It will always be one of those two. There you go.
There you go. There you have it. So the big story that isn't going away is our friend Diddy. And Kid Cudi just had to testify about when he was dating Cassie and allegedly Diddy had his car blown up. And in the midst of all this, yesterday, Cassie went into labor. I mean,
That's
could this be any
crazy.
more of a daytime soap opera?
Did anything, I mean, I was looking over her test. I mean, some of it was just crazy. Well, you know what, Diddy's, right, when it was the assistant, the one that dated Kid Cudi, she was saying this story that I guess there was some award show and she had all these like jewelry or watches from Jacob the jeweler. And I guess they opened the thing and like the watches were gone or all the things. And they were going to Miami and Diddy's like, I'm going. You're going to stay here and deal with this. And I guess someone came to her house and picked her up and brought her to some boardroom. And there was some huge bodyguard on the other end. And they said, you're taking a lie detector. Because she's like, I don't have the jewels. And I think it went on for like 10 days because she was so nervous. The results were all over the place. And for 10 days, they kept calling her back. Out. She was there for like 15 hours a day until she got a completely negative lie detector of like, okay, you didn't steal the jewels.
Whatever happened to them? I don't even remember this story.
Well, I don't remember the story, but I just read that this was part of her testimony, and I was like, what? So every day, and oh, and I think they also said, either you're going to get a negative test or you're going to end up in the East River. I think that was a
Well, that's
exact,
nice.
right? Isn't that nice?